I'm glad to announce that the second version of the Project Planner Excel template is available now, and this video will walk through the key enhancements made in version 2 compared to version 1. So the first and most important thing in this new template is that you can now control the maximum daily allocation for a resource's time to a task. This will allow you to actually have a resource work on multiple tasks at the same time. I will provide an example to explain this just in a few minutes. We also have customizable Gantt charts where you can change it to weekly, daily, or monthly, and you can also choose any start date for your Gantt chart. The personal leave that the resources can take, those were daily leave in version 1, and now you can actually provide the number of hours the person is going to be off on any given day, and the template will take that into account. The number of resources has been increased from 25 to 30, and the entire backend has been redesigned so that it's easier for the user to increase the number of tasks and projects as needed. A new feature of milestones has been added. This will allow you to flag certain tasks as milestones and they get highlighted in the Gantt chart. You can also add a fixed cost to each project, and this will be added to the final project cost. The tasks that are completing later than the preferred end dates are better highlighted in the template now so that you can visually easily see such types of tasks. The terminology used in the template has been modified a little to reflect that it's only a planning template and it's not really a management template, which is tracking the actual progress of the project. This is only for planning future projects, and the terminology used in some of the column labels has been modified to properly represent that. Now let's take a quick look at the template itself, and then we'll walk through quickly these enhancements. Okay, so now I have the template open with some sample data entered. So the first and most important thing is that now you can control the maximum allocation that you provide to a resource time to a task. So let's go to the task sheet. You will actually see a max daily allocation percentage column added to your template. This column provides the maximum daily allocation of that resource's time to that specific task. So let's take an example here. I have given the developer, this is the name of the resource, developer, totally 50 hours of work needs to be done on this task, which is task 2. The task name is develop the site. And at the same time, there is also another project or task, which will be project 2, the same thing, developing the site, assigned to the developer for 20 hours. So if you want both of these tasks to be worked by the resource in parallel, then you can allocate a certain percentage of time. So what I'm saying is 50% of the developer's time every day should be the maximum that the developer can spend on task 2. So anything beyond that 50%, that resource will be available to do some other task. So let's go and check how it's reflected in the schedules. And in the schedule, you can see that in the Gantt chart, this is the task 2, that now even though that person is available to work for 5 hours every day, only 2.5 is actually scheduled for task 2. The remaining 2.5 of this task is actually spent on the other task, which is task 8. The developer will be spending the remaining time on the other task. So now the resource can work on two tasks in parallel. In version 1 of the template, this was not possible, and now it is possible. And just to illustrate, let me change it to 60%, and let's go back to the schedule. And now you will see that 3 hours is spent on task 2, and then the remaining 2 hours are spent on task 8. So that's how simple as it is. Now, the next important feature that has been added to the second version of the template is the customizable Gantt chart, which we already kind of looked at here. And in order to better explain it, okay, so now this is the Gantt chart portion of this schedule sheet. And right now we are seeing all the tasks in this template, and we have dates at the top and then color coded cells at the bottom. So the color codes mean this. Green means the work is scheduled. Light gray means it's a company weekend, so Saturday and Sundays are company weekends. The light orange is company holidays, and the dark gray is where the resource is not available. And so, for example, let's look at this task. You can see that the task begins and it continues to be worked on by the project manager. And then we have weekends, we have company holidays, and then there is a dark gray. This means that on this Tuesday, the resource is not available. The task can go on if the resource was available, but the resource is not. So this helps you identify areas where project can move forward if you can find another resource to work on it. So that is the purpose of identifying where the gaps are due to availability of resources. Okay, now the last one is the dark blue, which is a milestone. That is also an important feature that has been added to this template. And before I move on to the milestone, let me finish up the customizable portion of the Gantt chart. So you can actually customize it by making the Gantt chart weekly, or you can change it to monthly, and now you have a monthly Gantt chart. So very easy to change. You can also change the start date. So instead of September 1st, I wanted to start from October 1st, and now there I have it. So it's very, very easy to change how the Gantt chart appears. So in addition to the appearance of the Gantt chart, there is also some improvements made to the task schedule menu option. So by default, you can see all the tasks, but in addition, if I want to see only project, and I can change this to project, and here you will see very clearly labeled information around only the project 2, and only tasks of project 2 will be displayed. And I've made some improvements here at the top so that you can see more metrics and more attributes about what you have chosen. And you can also choose resource, and you can choose a resource name, and you will see all the tasks for that resource. And the Gantt chart also will reflect the same tasks. They go together. The third important thing we wanted to talk about was resource availability. So the resource personal leave, you can actually now put in the number of hours the person is on leave. So for example, if I want to give the project manager, and again, this is a drop down where you can choose a resource. And for example, I want to say September 17th, the person is going to be out for 4 hours. So I can just put that in. And now if I go and see the availability for September 17th, the project manager is available for 3 hours. If I put 0 here and I come back and see, now I see that the same person is available for 7 hours on that day, but I can easily change that availability by putting in some other number. So 7, it should have been 7, but now I've taken 5 hours off, so it will say 2. So that is how the resource availability, personal leave options work. Very simple. Add your resource name, put the date and number of hours the person is going to take off. The next important feature in the new template is the increased number of resources. So you will notice that you can actually have up to 30 resources. You can enter them here, and the 30 resources will also be reflected in the resource view, where you can have up to 30 resources that will display the number of hours available and number of hours scheduled. I've also made it easier to expand on the number of tasks and number of projects. So number of projects, you can continue to enter more than 50. So now in the project summary, we only have up to 50 projects. And now if you want to expand it beyond that, the first thing we need to do is to unprotect the sheet because the sheet is locked. The password is available in the settings sheet, and I'm going to take that and go to the plan summary, unprotect, put in my password, Now I've unlocked it. So this is the 50th thing, and now you can see that there is a little downward arrow here as I go to the edge of that cell. Now all I have to do is to keep expanding it. Let's say I want to add 10 more projects, and there I have it. So now I've expanded it to 10 more projects, and we don't have any values showing up here because we have not entered actually that many projects. But as you keep entering, now the plan summary will also automatically work because all the formulas also have been expanded. Same thing here. Now for the timeline view to be expanded, please select cell R55 and then press the shift key and keep pressing your right arrow, and which will select all these cells all the way to BT55. Now after selecting all these cells, you can remove your hand off the shift key and then click and drag this all the way for 10 more rows, because that's how many rows of projects that we have added. So now after selecting this, press Ctrl 1 and remove the border here and click OK. Click anywhere else. Now what we have done, as you can see here, as I put my cursor onto one of these cells, you can see that there are formulas everywhere, and that just means that now you have expanded the timeline view to include all these projects. Tasks are limited to 250 by default, and only 250 will be used for planning. But if you want to extend beyond it, you can unhide it, go to the scheduler sheet, and then in the scheduler sheet there is a table which is where all the calculations are actually happening, and you can see that it only goes to 250. And if you want to actually go beyond 250, all you have to do is to, let me zoom in so I can see all the details. In here there is a little downward arrow here, the dark blue. So I'm going to go here and expand it. So again, let's say I want to expand it to 20 more tasks. So I've come here and I'm going to let it go. So what is now going to happen is now we have extended the number of tasks. So when I go to the leftmost, I can see that now we have tasks all the way to 270 tasks. So if you enter 270 tasks here, they will all be included in the planning. So that is how easy it is to actually expand the number of tasks and projects right now in the second version of the template. And it's very important to also remember that there are lots of formulas in this. So it's important that you hide this and then you come back to the plan summary and go back to the review, protect sheet, and put in that password that we know and lock it. So now that you have locked it, it's not, you can't even see the formulas hidden in these cells. And that is good because then you won't be able to accidentally edit any formulas, because the formulas are the backbone of this template. Everything is automated using formulas, so make sure that none of the formulas can be seen or edited easily. If you have to edit them, you have to go through the unprotect sheet, put in your password and do it. So it's important to lock back the sheets after you are done with extending the number of projects and tasks. Now the next thing we'll look at is milestones. So there's a new column in the task sheet which is called milestone, and this column is to mark which tasks are milestones in your project. So I've just chosen the launching the site of project 1 and launching the site of project 2 as milestones. If you want to change it, you can remove it, and if you want to select it, then you can choose S. That's it. Very simple. Now that we have selected these two milestones, I want to go back and see how they are reflected in my tasks. So I'm going to choose all tasks because I want to see all the tasks at the same time. And the first thing you will notice is that the milestone tasks are bold in font. So basically the row number 19, you can see that it has a bold font, and similarly row number 25 has bold font. That is one way milestones are shown in the sheet. The other thing is you will see in the Gantt chart that the milestones are actually represented in dark blue fill background color with white font. So dark blue, again dark blue here. This is to represent where those milestone tasks were completed and when. So here on October 5th, this task has been completed. On October 7th, this has been completed. So it just highlights in the Gantt chart itself. So when I go back here, I can also see these specific things. It says October 5th, October 7th. So the dates are available here. It's also colored in blue on the Gantt chart. So that's about the milestones. In addition to the normal information about projects, we also have project fixed cost column added, and this is where you can provide your any value that you want as the fixed cost for each project, and that will get added to the final project cost. So for example, for project 1 there is 5,000 of fixed cost. So I go back to the plan summary, I can see that the total cost is 5750, and so that's 5,000 of the fixed cost plus 750 of resource cost. Resource cost to be able to do this 85 hours of work, that is taken into account here, and now we have 5750 as the total project cost. The other feature added is the highlighting tasks that are completing after the preferred end date. So for example, in the task schedules, let's take task 2. The task 2 expected end date is 29th September, but we would have liked the project or task to complete on 14th. So preferred end date is 14, actual expected end date is only 29th. That means it is not going to complete according to our preference. So we would like it to be finishing on 14th. It may most likely it'll actually happen only on 29th. So the task plan result will now say will complete late, but it will still complete within the planning period that we have set, but it won't complete on or before 14 September. So it says will complete late. So let's take another example here. This task this task will not even complete. So it shows clearly will not complete, and they are colored differently so that you can easily identify which items need your attention, whether the ones that are completing late or the others that will not complete. So highlighting these tasks here is something that will help to easily identify areas that you need to pay attention to. Now, in the plan summary also, there is a little bit of change here where I have added a light blue line. You can see the light blue lines. This is where you wanted the project to finish. For example, the first project is finishing well ahead of your preferred end date. So that's why it's green, will complete on time. The yellow one, the project 2, you want it to complete here, but actually it will only complete here. That means it will complete late. The last one, you want it to complete here, it is not going to complete at all in terms of the number of hours you need the work to be done. So it'll be red in color. The last thing I wanted to cover is the terminology used in this template has been modified. So you will see that in many places. So it will say will complete, will not complete. I wanted to move away from the terminology saying complete or not complete, because I wanted to put a future tense on all these labels, mainly because this is a planning template. So the user should be aware that this is to help planning for future projects and not really tracking projects that are ongoing right now. So I changed the values to reflect the fact that this is a planning template, and you will see that the labels now have will complete, will not complete, and this is reflected in many places. So will complete, will not complete, and in the project plan result, in the task schedule, you will see this also. So just to recap, here are the key enhancements that we covered in version 2 of this Excel template, and this template is available from Indzara.com, and all the customers who purchase version 1 will be receiving the version 2 for free, and I will be sending out the email with the file to all those customers who have purchased version 1. Thanks to everybody who has given me great valuable feedback about the version 1, and that's really helped me to build the right kind of features in version 2. Thank you very much for watching the video.